Hey guys, just a few things before the video starts. One, this is my first tutorial, so go ahead and rag on me in the comments. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Another thing is that this tutorial is for advanced scripters. So if you don't have any prior scripting knowledge, you're going to be quite confused, and I recommend you learn some other things before trying to do this. If you're looking for the R15 Ragdolls, in this video, I don't cover them, but linked in the description will be a place file where you can check out the R15 Ragdolls. And if you're confused at all, go ahead and join the Discord in the description, and I'll try and help you. Thanks guys, enjoy the video. Alright, so we're doing a bit of a different video from like my normal devlog videos, and I hope this will be of use to you all. So today, we're gonna be creating a ragdoll system inside of Roblox. It's pretty simple, I think. By the end of the video, you'll understand what goes into this process, and well, I'll try and use a lot of analogies to really explain it because some parts may get a little complicated, like the usage of module scripts and all that. But in the end, you'll have a very usable product. So to make a ragdoll, there's like a few important things you need to do. First, you need to make sure that your humanoid doesn't break their joints on death and doesn't require a neck because that like interferes with stuff. So basically, you'll have a character that when reset, it just does nothing. That's basically what we want, because what we're trying to do is replace all of the character's joints with ball and socket joints, which allows for it to look like a ragdoll. So the first thing we're going to need to do to get started is we're going to be using a module script. Now, we're going to be using a module script because I think personally it makes it easy to use, because like you can use a module script anywhere. And like it just makes things really simple. Basically, all you're gonna be doing with this is you're gonna be writing a function. And you can use it anywhere on the server side. And that's what's beautiful about them. You can use them basically anywhere, and it makes it really easy. For example, you got hit by an explosion. You could create an explosion, and then you can have the explosion call for this module, and it will ragdoll the player. So that's very convenient. So the first thing we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to rename this because module is not like very descriptive. So we'll just change this to ragdoll. And the next thing we're gonna want to do is we're gonna need a few services for this. First, we're gonna need the player's service. We're gonna need replicated storage, and I'll show you why later. It's actually pretty important. And we're gonna be replicated storage, and we're gonna be accessing something that I haven't actually created yet, and that's called limb tree. Now, limb tree is not like something Roblox comes with by default, but we'll be requiring it, and requiring is how you use a module script. So I'm using a module script inside of another module script. It's like really that cool. You can use module scripts for a lot of different things. Sorry, my phone was buzzing. So we're gonna require limb tree, and that will be important later. We're also going to be accessing a folder named player events, and actually I think I'll start with this player events folder. So basically, inside of and this is supposed to be there. Basically, we're gonna be making a folder, and we're gonna call that player. And this is where you want to store like any player related events. You can use this for other things in your project too. I just like to keep things organized. So we're gonna call it ragdoll, and basically the server, which you should run this function on, don't run it on the client, that will cause problems. The server is going to tell the client, or your computer, to do some special things to your humanoid in order for this ragdoll thing to work. So even before that, we're gonna wanna create a script in here. What the script is gonna do is it's gonna tell the server, for every player that joins, we're gonna disable the ability to break the joints on death and the character to require a neck. So we'll name this ragdoll handler. I know, very great naming. Well, we're gonna need the players service. So we're also gonna need replicated first, and then we're gonna need the ragdoll module script we just made. I forgot to rename it, so go ahead and rename this to ragdoll. So we're gonna get ragdoll because it's important for ragdolling players on death. So there we go, ragdoll. So we're gonna use players.player added. That's an event. So basically any time a player joins, and I assume you guys know this, but for the people that don't, I really want you guys to like learn and know what you're doing. So basically, anytime the server finds out that a player joined, it's gonna call this event. And then using the player object, the player parameter that we just got, so the server's telling us the player that joined, we can actually get when that character is added into the game, and that will give us the newly added character. And from there, we can retrieve the humanoid. So basically, we're adding a new character, and then we're checking for its humanoid. We're getting this humanoid because it has certain things we need. So right, we're doing character, wait for child, humanoid, and then we'll do humanoid break joints on death equals false, and we'll have humanoid.requires neck also equal false. So basically that will do what I was explaining in the beginning, and then on the death of a humanoid, we're just gonna call the ragdoll function that we haven't actually created yet. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna call it ragdoll character. So let's actually get into that. This might be a little confusing, but the way Lua works is that, for at least with module scripts, you can store functions inside of this. This is called a table, and basically tables in Lua can store anything you want. So we're gonna use it to store a function called ragdoll character, which we actually are using right here as well. That's why it's red, because we didn't make it yet. So we're gonna be getting a character, specifically a model, because that's what the character is, and we're going to be retrieving the player because we don't actually have the player from this folder yet, so we need to get that, and we can do that by using a special function from the player service, which allows us to get the player from the character as this describes. So this character model we can get the player from, and if the model is a player, because we could also ragdoll NPCs with this, but if it is a player, then we're gonna call that special remote event we made that will tell the client to do some other things with the humanoid. So we're actually gonna want to make the other end of this. So in starter character scripts, we're gonna create a local script. That's important because local scripts run on your computer. We're gonna have local players equals game get service players, replicated storage, because that's also where our event's stored. We need the event on both sides because basically we're coding the server and we're coding the client. So we're gonna get the player and the player's character, which is stored within the player. That's why it's pretty cool. It's its own property. We're gonna get the humanoid from the character, and then we're gonna get the player events folder that we created not too long ago. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna get the starter GUI service because when your character is ragdolled, you're not gonna want it to show your backpack because you don't want people equipping tools when you're clearly downed. So yeah, we're just gonna disable the backpack. Right now we're gonna have it enabled just in case. That's what this line of code is. Basically it's just enabling the backpack, and then we're gonna write a function saying on ragdoll, and this function will run when the server tells the client to run this because the server has authority. So basically we're gonna want to connect that. We're gonna want to connect this function to the remote event we created by running on client event. And if you don't know how client to server communication works, there's a really useful tutorial like on the Roblox developer forum website or something. Yeah, so check that out if you don't understand what I'm talking about. That'll give you some really important insight. There we go, Ragdoll. So basically here we're telling the client that we're ragdolling the player, and that's what this is. This is this. This true is also true here. So we're just sending that. We're gonna get the humanoid, and we're gonna unequip all the tools because we don't want people using tools when they're knocked over. So we're going to disable this core UI. The backpack, because we don't want that to be showing. If you want, you can disable the ability to reset, because like some games you can do that. Like you want that, like if you get knocked over in like a game like The Hood, you don't want your character to be able to be reset, so we're just gonna disable it here. And we're also going to make it so the player is unable to get up, because we're going to force the player into a physics state. We have to set the physics state here because for some reason Roblox doesn't make all the limbs collidable when you run this on the server, so you have to do it here, which is really strange. All the limbs in a Roblox avatar, or not all of them, but like the arms and I don't know, no, not the legs, just the arms, they don't collide with anything, so you have to manually set that, and you do that by writing this line of code here. We're gonna run this function again when the player is able to get back up, because we also want to be able to re-enable things like the backpack, because part of this whole tutorial is not only creating the ragdoll but also removing it. So we're going to re-enable the backpack. We're going to re-enable the ability to reset, because that's useful. We're going to, oops, wrong thing, set, and this is wrong, set states enabled. We're gonna allow the player to get back up again, which is immediately going to try to do, and just in case it doesn't, we're going to run the change state function to make it get up either way. And there we go. That's all you have to do here. So now we go back here, and when we run this, it will run this, and that's really cool. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get the humanoid, because we're gonna need that for a lot of things. And now we're basically going to create the thing that creates the ragdoll. Now, if you only want this for R6, or you only want this for R15, you don't gotta copy all my code, because I'm gonna write a lot of it. If you want to copy it, you can, but honestly for this part, you can copy it from the place file that I'm gonna link, because honestly I understand it would take a whole lot of time to well, basically write all this. But if you're really interested, you can. So first we're gonna check if the humanoid is R6. We're gonna do R6 first because I like R6. So we're gonna get the player's head. To save time, I'm gonna just copy all this. We're gonna get their head, torso, humanoid root part, right arm, right leg, left leg, and you can copy all that. Or again, you can get the place file that I'll be linking in the description. So we're gonna check if the player has a torso and it doesn't have a specific neck joint that we're creating, because we don't want to accidentally make two ragdolls on one character, because then that will be laggy and it will just cause glitches. For the R6 character, this is important. We're gonna be making specific joints because by default doesn't actually like provide a good amount of attachments to create joints. So we're gonna create a neck attachment, and we'll do instance.new attachment. That's basically just creating a new attachment. Pretty self-explanatory. We're gonna set the parent of that to the head of our character. We're gonna name it neck attachment. We're gonna position it at the neck. I know it doesn't really make much sense why I'm just putting in a random pair of coordinates, but that actually does link up to the character's head if you were to test that on your own. And then we're gonna set the orientation just to none. You don't have to, but I like to, just to show you guys that we're not setting it to anything else. And we're also gonna set this really important attribute to all the parts called Ragdoll, which is, we're just gonna check for that later on. So we can delete anything with this tag, because I don't want to perform any expensive checks if I can just check if a part has this, which actually might be more expensive, but it makes things more simple. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make torso neck attachment. This is essentially the same thing, but we're creating it on the torso rather than the head. So we're gonna parent this to torso instead. We're gonna name this torso neck attachment. We're going to position it right at the bottom of the neck, which is one stud up from the center of the torso. Forgot to add new there. And we're gonna set the orientation to nothing, like that. And we're just gonna make that look neat. And we're gonna be using this same ragdoll attribute because you have to do it for all the things. Everything we're creating here is gonna have this attribute, so we can easily delete it. Now, sorry, I am a little bit sick. Now we're gonna be creating the neck joint. And all right, this is another important thing. And this is making me frustrated, so I'm gonna fix this little bit code. So yeah, this is really important. I have specific pre-made joints for all the things, so I'm gonna copy them into the project real quick. So yeah, I have a bunch of these. These are all pre-made. I actually copied them, or took inspiration, if you will, from this guy right here, Echo Reaper, who he made a really good like ragdoll system, and I like use parts of it almost. I wouldn't say that, but like I use the same like ideas as him, and so big props to this guy. And I used the different joints because I didn't know how to make them myself, and I didn't want to fiddle around for 10 hours. So yeah, I'm copying all these. You can just download the project file, or I'll go through each and every one of them real quick, so you can copy them. So yep, all of this for each joint. If you really want to just go and copy this all, you're only gonna need to get this bottom section right here. So there we go, that's all that. You can pause the video if you want to. Honestly, I just copy it from the place file. I want you guys to write the code because I think that it's good experience and it gives me more watch time, which I like. So we're gonna create this neck joint now from the already made one. So basically, we're just parenting this to the torso. The majority of the work has been done for us, so you don't have to manually set all the properties of it. So yeah, again, big props to the dude that made this. We're gonna call this neck joint. We're going to set the first attachment to neck attachment, the second attachment, second attachment to torso and neck attachment, and we're gonna set this attribute ragdoll to true. So there we go. Now we have the neck. The thing is, you gotta do this for like every other limb. So that means the right arm, left leg, right leg. I actually did all this and it took a long time, so I'm just gonna copy and paste it in, but feel free to copy all this. So this is the right arm, this is the left arm, this is the right leg. And you're probably gonna need to pause because I don't imagine any of you can type 500 words per minute. And this is the left leg. And this here is all the pieces you need to make the ragdoll. This is the thing that will assemble the ragdoll. But we're not done yet. There are other things we still have to do. First and foremost, we need to make sure that the humanoid root part is not collidable, otherwise it will mess with the physics simulation. Another thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make all the limbs not be able to collide with the torso because got finesse, because that also interferes with the simulation. So basically we're just gonna check if a part is a base part, code word for any part. We're gonna check if its name is not humanoid root part, because we don't want to set the humanoid root part. And then we're gonna create no collision constraint, or I'm just gonna call it NC because that's shorter. So we're gonna create a new instance of that, and basically it's exactly what it sounds like, and you are creating this thing that makes it so your two other parts do not collide. I was gonna say things, but that might have made things a bit more complicated. So we're just gonna name this to the thing we're trying to make non-collidable with the torso. So that could be any arm or leg, and we're just gonna make that so it doesn't collide with the torso. So now like your left arm, right leg, all that won't collide with the torso, which just makes things nicer, kind of. And we're gonna set the ragdoll attribute again because, well, we need it to get cleaned up after the ragdoll is done being used. So there you go. That right there is hold on. This is important. This code goes in here. So that there is I did another thing wrong. Oh, forgot to add an end. That's the R6 section. Well, also I can get into depth on the R15 one, but there's a lot to do there. I almost forgot a very crucial part of the ragdoll, and that is you need to disable. So we created a bunch of joins, but the old ones are still enabled. So basically, I don't know why I copied that. So basically, we need to disable all the old joints, or our efforts won't be worth anything because it just won't work. So any motor 60, which is an odd name, but that's what all the joints in a character are called, we need to disable them unless they're named root or root joint, and that corresponds to the joint that connects the humanoid root part to either the lower torso of an R15 model, or the root joint, which connects the torso and the humanoid root part of an R6 model. So if it isn't those, we're just going to disable it because we don't need that. And now we can create the unragdoll function. So to do this, we're just going to create unragdoll character, a function called unragdoll character, and it's going to take a character, specifically a model. We're going to get the player like so, same way I mentioned earlier. Get player from character. We're gonna check again if it's the player. Oh, I'm messing up left and right. We're gonna check again if it's the player. Player events, wait for child ragdoll, fire client. This time we're gonna say false, so now it's running this code here. So we can get back into the getting up phase. We're going to access the humanoid by finding the first child named humanoid. We're going to get the humanoid root part by finding the first child named humanoid root part. We're gonna make it so it can collide again because we disabled that previously. And lastly, we are going to get the descendants of the character. We're gonna check for everything inside of the character if it has the ragdoll parameter that I said was important, because now we want to remove everything associated with that, and we're gonna do that by looping through everything and finding those objects with the tag ragdoll, and that's basically what I just typed. And then we're gonna check for all the motor 60s or all the old joints in the character, and if they're there, we're going to, which they will be, we're going to enable them again. And there we go. This is a ragdoll thing for R6. Perhaps you want R15. I did make an R15 version, which is like why half of these things are here. Personally, I don't really want to get into that, but I will leave all of the code, and there's a lot of it. Trust me, there is a lot of it. I will leave that in the place file because, you know, I'm not going over it. It's just so much. It's so much. But yeah, we have a working ragdoll now. To test that, I have this special sword, the special big sword, which makes you trip and fall over when you use it because it's so big and massive. And I've done something wrong. We don't need limb tree right now. You do for the R15 version. Limb tree is very important, but I'm not going to be covering limb tree. But basically, it's a hierarchy of all the parts in an R15 character, but that's not important for R6. This is mainly covering R6. It's probably what I'm going to title the video. So anyway, now we have a big sword, and if we use it, whoa, we ragdoll. Like we coded it to. I don't know why I would do anything else. Yeah, so pretty cool. We got a well, we did have a ragdoll. I see the problem. Okay, yeah. I named this thing wrong. This is a neck joint. There we go. That's why it wasn't working. It also wasn't deleting another thing. Oh, left. I put arm joint. That is left leg joint. That's actually an error in my original script too. So hey, we fixed another bug. I love doing that. There we go. So now it will create a ragdoll. It will do what it's supposed to do. It won't blow up into a billion pieces. Yeah, there we go. That's basically it for ragdolls. If you want to see the R15 one, then I'm sure you know by now, but go check out the place file. And yeah, that's basically about it. If you enjoyed, and this worked for you, I hope it works for you. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out my other content on like Bombs Away, which I don't have any yet, or you could check out the Top Op content or Mediocre Marvin siblings. But yeah, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.